Hello and welcome to the Lazy Podcast. This is episode 7. This is a podcast where we talk about everything and anything. Today I am joined by my good friend, well, sort of, Alex or Marius, how do you prefer to be called?
I don't mind, you can call me Mario.
And yeah, so today we're going to talk about if you think you should go to uni or not, and I'm gonna tell you my opinion and you're gonna tell me your opinion. And we'll see. This is gonna be an interesting podcast. This is your first time on a podcast, I believe.
Yeah, this is my first podcast, so I might appear a bit nervous, so, bear.
Don't worry, this is we're all friends here, and this is a very professional podcast, as you can see around here. Before we started recording, my microphone stopped working. We're just DIYing it a little bit with our phones, but I think we'll be fine. So, right, so first of all, tell us a bit about yourself then.
All right, okay. So my name is Mario, do you want me to go with a short or the long story, like straight to uni? Or?
No, let's go for the long story. Let's go for the long story.
All right, yeah. So basically, I come from Albania, but I grew up in Greece, in a small village called Kardamili.
Nice.
It's like in Mani.
Yeah.
So basically around 2013, I graduated from high school and I decided to, pursue further education.
Nice.
So one of my mates, he moved into Brighton at that period, summer of 2013, to be exact. So I was thinking, I had two options, either to go to Crete, it's like a large island in Greece there. So I had an opportunity to join uni there, or go to UK in Brighton and just, start again from scratch.
Yeah.
So at that point, I thought, okay, you know what? Screw it, I'm going to UK, and I'm going to try a new start from scratch. In the beginning, I joined college there, so I had to redo sort of like high school again for 3 years, and I learned quite a bit of things there, as you properly, proper English grammar and how to properly talk English, and a bit of technical, information such as computer programming and networking and stuff like that. Once I graduated, 2016, I was offered a place in Aston University in Birmingham, and I thought, back then I had sort of a mindset like I need to sort of go to uni in order to get a proper job.
Yeah.
But looking now back then, how things went, to be fair, going to uni will give you a lot of things, a lot of knowledge, a lot of network, a large network of people that you will meet there, So that's, I think, the most, that you get from uni is the people you meet. Yeah. Because the actual content, you can go through it yourself online. Today, there are so many websites such as Udemy and Code Academy, Coursera. So you can do it yourself. You can be a self-taught,
is a new one as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think going to uni is good. It's a bit it's expensive, not a bit expensive. You have to spend a lot of money going to uni.
Right.
Plus, you have to get a job, like you have to pay your bills, like, the rent and everything. But it's an invaluable experience, like, as I said before. In terms of learning, you will learn a lot of things. Some of them are outdated, they don't keep the content up to date. However, as I said...
So what did you study again?
I studied computer for business.
Computer for business, right. So let's just mention here that we went to the same class in high school. And I also did computer science in Athens for 2 years. And then obviously I left it. I didn't go. It's like, I think a few of the listeners know that, but I have to mention it again. So you've kind of made us, your introduction. So like straight, out of the blue, do you think you need a degree?
You don't need a degree. No.
You don't need a degree.
For my specialization for computer programming, I do computer programming. I'm a web developer, so I build websites.
Yeah.
For my degree, I think you don't need. For my field, you don't need a degree. Now, for other fields like optometry or I don't know.
Yeah. If you want to be a doctor, for example.
A doctor or something, you really need to go to uni, right? You need to properly see the whole structure and how things work. But for programming, I think you don't need uni. You can do that yourself. You can go to a bootcamp if you want. Or you can just, as we said before and we mentioned, you can learn it online, build a couple of projects of your own, and sort of like build your experience like that. And yeah, it's easy to get a job nowadays. There's a high demand in computer programming. But for this field, I'd say no, you don't really need to go to uni. No.
Right. So I feel kind of the same because, as I said, I did 2 years in university, computer science, and it was really hard for me, I have to say. And that was one of the main reasons why I dropped out as well. Well, I'm technically still there, but it's yeah. And also there were other reasons for me to leave, but and I kind of felt my interest in computer science wasn't the same as it was when I first, started and I first wanted to go there. I kind of like picked up other interests like, video and photography and all that. And graphic design as well. For example, in the last 3 years, I've been working in marketing and graphic design. And for those jobs, I am certain that you don't need a degree. My manager where I worked, she didn't have a degree and she got crap loads of money, and the site manager where I worked, he didn't have a degree, and he was a site manager of a company with I don't know how many employees, and it was like I still think you don't need for certain, like you said, for certain things you don't need a degree. But yeah, as we said, if you want to be a doctor, I think.
Can I mention something very quick?
Of course
now?
You can. Yeah, this is a podcast.
So basically, we're talking about university. You know, in my previous placement, that I had to go through as part of my degree. There were some people there that they were undertaking apprenticeships. So this is another way to sort of like go through a career or something, and you don't really need to go to college or to uni. You just go through the apprenticeship. You as you work, you learn, and then they award you some sort of certificate at the end. And at the same time, you're getting paid. And you meet all these people, and
you're still going through. Like you meet people and you get experience. You get work experience. Another thing that I have noticed here, right, is all the jobs that I've interviewed for, and no one really has asked me for a degree. I don't know if you have a different experience, but the jobs that I've interviewed for, no one really has asked me for a degree.
To be fair, okay, so
you might have a different.
One of the jobs I had as a part-time web developer in my second year in university. Well, when I applied for the job, the guy, the manager at the time, he didn't ask anything like are you studying at the time, or have you got a degree or anything. He just asked me, do you know the job, can you do that, or have you got any experience with this tool or that tool. And that was like no sort of like barrier to enter. However, in my placement, because that was related to uni, they asked sort of like what grades did I get overall in order to get to secure the placement. And right now, one of the jobs that I applied for as a web developer, they didn't even ask about my grade. So, to be fair, if you have some sort of experience in the field, like I don't think the degree is necessary. Like maybe in the beginning, when you start off, they will ask like once you graduate or something if you don't have any experience at all. But to be fair, if that's the case, you start off like with trying to get an internship or something, try to do some work for free, volunteer in order to get some experience. But yeah, it depends, I would say, the industry and what sort of like, company are you going for. Like if you go, for a large company, they might ask you not only for a degree, but have you got a master's degree, have you got a PhD and stuff like that. But most like medium, to medium, medium to large, let's say, companies, they won't ask you for that. Like, a lot of agencies, can you do the job? Yes. Okay, yeah, go on and do it.
So in the jobs that I've been pursuing, like in the last 3 years, you need, you need a portfolio to showcase your work. And in a previous episode of the podcast, I said how YouTube helped me because I could just show my work, wherever I went. Do you need a similar thing if you want to be like a web developer? Like, do you need sort of like a portfolio to show? Or
I'd say, I don't know if it's like required, but it's good. It's a good indicator, like to someone hiring. Okay, it seems like what they say is, oh, this guy or this girl is serious about it. Like they've got their own portfolio. They've done some work, outside of their working hours or whatever. Outside of uni if they're still studying, or so it shows some sort of interest, and then people can see like, okay, what are you capable of? So anyone can see it. Like if you have a website, you can just share it with anyone. and it's a good it's a good thing having this sort of thing out, and advertising it or marketing it in the social medias, and so telling people, okay, that's who I am, that's what I do. If you want to contact me, go ahead, and you show all the skills that, okay, there is proof of what you're saying is true. And I'd say it's a good thing, right? I don't know if it's required, but it's a good thing to have, definitely.
So if you want to have a portfolio, you will need to build something as well. So I always tell people as well, in the work that we do is the best way to learn and for you to show people is if you actually do something, like go out, take pictures, try and edit a video, try and color grade a picture, and then you learn and you also have something to show people. So I would imagine it's the same, if you want to build a website,
definitely, yeah.
You build it, you learn, and then you also have something to show people.
Exactly.
So yeah, for me, most of the projects that I did for uni, they were specific small tasks. It wasn't like an entire project. If you exclude the final year project that I had to do, there was a whole complete website. But the other project that we had at uni, you couldn't sort of say, okay, this is what I've got, and showcase it. It was small bits in there. However, in one of the sites I'm subscribed to, I don't know if I'm allowed to say the site, it's larkas.com, for PHP development.
It's fine, you can say it.
So basically, this guy, the instructor, has a lot of series going on there, and a lot of videos and content to help you go through this learning curve. And one of these videos or series is related to building a forum, and
I know what the forum is.
You know what a forum is. And then I decided, for my portfolio, I might as well build a forum and see how it goes, right? And then put it out and see if people use it. And if not, I'll have something, from my portfolio to show for, potential employers. So it's definitely, a good thing to build stuff. And you learn as you go, obviously. And you just document everything down.
Right. Next question that I have is, do you think a degree will guarantee you a job?
Definitely no, man.
Not?
Yeah, definitely not.
You would, all the money that you pay for it, you would think.
No, not really. It doesn't guarantee you anything. It's just something that you have, right? There's such a lot of competition out there. Imagine how many other people go through this. You might, guarantees you a job. To be fair, it depends.
You might get an advantage.
You might get an advantage. You might as well not, right? I know people that have graduated this year. Some of my friends and other, students that we were in the same year, sort of graduation. They didn't secure any job, or anything related to their field. If that's what your question is, because you can get a job.
No. I mean related. Yeah. If you want to go to McDonald's, you can always go to McDonald's.
It's nothing wrong with that. But,
no, of course.
For your field, doesn't guarantee you that you will get a job there. And sometimes, that's the case. Maybe you don't like it. You know what I mean? And you just sort of okay, I don't want to pursue it, or you're not passionate enough. I would say, you sort of see people that, they pop up, they have their own portfolio. Sometimes, they do work outside. They really love it. Those kind of people, it's definitely they will get a job, and they will get a good job. However, if you just go to uni and you do just your assignments and you just read and you go, do your exams, take your exams, and then you say, okay, now, I'm entitled.
Where's my job? Yeah.
Where is my job? I'm entitled to that. I paid all this money to go, through uni and everything. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to go through maybe a volunteer work, some sort of internship in the beginning. It's not easy.
So you have to still work for it and
put the extra work.
Put the extra work. Yes. I think it has to do with our background, my parents, where they come from and how they grew up, is that you go to university and you get the job. And I used to think like that as well. In high school, for example, I always thought if I don't go to university, then what am I going to do? So I wasn't a particularly good student. I was a terrible student in high school as well. But that's how I thought. And I think it has to do with the background as well.
Yeah, it's, when they say, okay, if you go to uni, you will get a good job. Well, definitely uni will help you because, as I said before, the most important thing that I got from uni was the network and the people I met, because now I can ask other people about could you potentially help me to get a job there or there, because they know you and people want to work with people they
trust. Sure, yeah.
So definitely going to uni will open these roads for you, make it easier for you, right? Because they have all this, infrastructure in place for students, like for placement, to look for work and advertisement and all these things. If you don't go to uni and you just, pursue something on your own and try to learn on your own and maybe start a business of your own, it's gonna be hard. Okay, it's gonna be hard, like, because you don't have any help. However, you can ask people. You can seek information. It's not that guaranteed only uni can give you this experience. There is a lot of potential out there. A lot of passionate people doing stuff. Maybe they haven't gone to uni at all. You know what I mean? And then they still succeed because they like it. They enjoy what they're doing. So yeah, I'd say you have to just stick into it. And be passionate about it.
Look for it. Yeah. So next question is, do you think you learned anything in uni that you couldn't learn yourself? In terms of like a skill.
Yeah. I'm sort of like, in terms of skills, technical skills and stuff like that. It really helped. Uni helped. It made it easier to learn some sort of specific technical stuff, because when you go through like university, first year, second year, third year, the way they're structured, the first year you do a bit of everything, the second year it gets more specialized, and third year even more specialized on sort of what you're doing. So in the first years I did some subjects that I didn't even like, I didn't enjoy some business modules, but I learned through force, so to speak, because I had to go through this to pass. I learned some stuff that otherwise I wouldn't have gone through, I wouldn't have even seen, because they were just, they just threw it to me in front of me. However, I'd say that if I knew that this stuff exists, I would learn it myself. I don't think it's that hard, it's easy to learn. If you put the hours and depending on your learning, how you learn, you can do it. I guess you can do it, yeah. But yeah, technical stuff as well, you can learn yourself, as we said before, with the websites. You can go through that and learn them. I'd say now for other industries, as we said, if you want to be a doctor, as we said before, I don't know how would you do that on your own. But yeah, for my degree, programming, I'd say that I could have learned it on my own. Definitely. I don't know, what's your opinion about that?
As I said, I only did 2 years, and those 2 years weren't really great, because in the first year especially, there was a lot of maths and physics. I don't remember how they were called now, but there was a lot of maths, and I hated maths. And on my first year, out of the 6 subjects, I only passed 2, I think. And I still went on the second year. And on the second year, I did a little better because there was more, programming stuff, and there was more interesting stuff, for like a 19-year-old that I was at the time, for example. I wasn't really interested in maths, and I wasn't really interested on that theory, how to build like a I don't even remember how they were called, all the,
because there is a lot of theory going on, in uni, and then sometimes for technical subjects it's good to have like some sort of practical assignment that you can do, like you can show to your friends, or have it on your own, and it's more I would say motivating rather than going through theory.
A lot of the stuff there I felt was really outdated as well. The how do you call it, teachers, not teachers,
the tutors or
tutors,
professors.
They were all really old people as well, and I'm not saying this is their fault, but they didn't really make an effort to like get us invested into, or like get us interested into any of the courses that we were doing. And this is not just me, this is there was like 300 people in my year, for example, and I think from that year there was only a few people that passed all the the lessons of the courses of that year. And it's mainly due to how things work there. And I would imagine if you are a tutor and you have like 3,000 kids or something, to 3,000 people, students, you will not be really interested into like doing your best, because you'll be like, just move to the next people and then pass 8 hours or how many hours they work. and that makes sense. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah, again, depends. Like, if you're someone that you're really passionate about it, sometimes you will get some, maybe professors that they just like, it's just another day for them at the job. But if you're really passionate about it, you have to, put the extra work, ask the extra question, do the extra stuff on your own, outside of uni. Because it's not like only on uni. You have to do stuff in your free time, It's not only uni. I understand sometimes you don't feel motivated. Maybe maybe it's not the right thing for you,
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I felt as well. I don't think this is the right thing for me, and I think I have found the right thing for me now. With the videos and with YouTube, and if this works out, it might do. It might, not work out. At the moment, there's like 2,229. Not that I'm counting.
Keep up the good work, man.
People, on this channel subscribed, and I've been doing this for 3.5 years now. It's been a steady, going up. But yeah, I mean, you never know. It might work. It might, not work. Who knows? But I felt university was not for me, and I've met a lot of people that think that way as well. And as I said, I did think that university would help me when I was in high school because of my background and because of not pressure, but what I was getting from my family, like, oh, if you don't go to uni, then what are you gonna do, and all of that. But yeah, it's hopefully something else will. So, like, what's one advice that you would give to people? Because we've been there. If you're 18 and you don't know what you're gonna do, like, what's the advice you would give to people? Like,
well, it depends. Like, if you're someone that what you want, right, and what you enjoy, and you have found it in an early age, then say you're lucky and go for it and do it. You don't need any advice. But if you're someone that you're still looking, around for what's the right thing for me, or should I go through this path or the other path? Well, if you have the opportunity, I'd say, to go to uni, and you can spend all that money, and because there are a lot of expenses, and you think okay, I can go through it because it's 4 years. Really, you have to stick. You have to stick to it. Otherwise, the whole investment or the time you've spent, more importantly, won't come back to you. So if you think that you can go through all this and do it, I'd say do it. Go to uni, as I said, for the network and the people and the opportunities that you will get. Not only the learning, but the opportunities that you will see there. But again, if you don't want to go and maybe you don't have the money, it's not the end of the world. Still, you can do other stuff. You can, as we said, there is also, I want to mention, a free university. I think it's the University of People, something like that, that you can study online, and then you don't have to pay for that, and you get a bachelor's degree, I think. So, there are other routes to go through. You can go through an apprenticeship. Maybe you can be self-taught. Just start doing the projects of your own, start building a portfolio, and then keep applying for jobs. And you might even go through a volunteering, for an internship or something, and then take these opportunities. I would say definitely take them, so you can get the experience. And it's like, it's not that you lose something for it. Like, even if you don't like it, again, you win, because now, okay, I don't want to do this. Maybe I have to do something else. This is not for me. But whatever you do, just do something, don't stay still. So that would be my advice. You have plenty of options, and it's not, as we said before, it's not guaranteed. You go to uni and you get a job. No, it doesn't work like that. 100% not.
Okay, so, right, let's get some spicy questions out. So university in Greece is free, for example. So those 2 years I went there, I didn't have to pay anything. Of course, my expenses and all that. And I also got free food as well. So I could eat there 3 times a day if I wanted to. How much does university? You don't have to say any numbers, but how much does it cost here? Like, does it? Because I don't know anything about how universities work here.
So here, basically, if you're an EU citizen, you have to pay. I think it's £9,000. Some universities is different for maybe 9,000 and something, or 10,000. I don't know. But you can get a loan from the student loan company, and they will pay the tuition fees for you. And then when you get a job, you will repay, slowly that amount. And the good thing is about this loan, it's low interest loan, and you don't have to repay like big chunks. I think there is a threshold if you get more than 26,000. I don't remember now exactly the number, and then you repay some small percentage from your wages, and after 30 years, if you don't manage to pay it off, the debt is gone. And if you don't get a job through, in the beginning, in the first years, or if you don't get a job at all for 30 years, then you don't have to pay anything, and the loan just disappears. And
so it's not free, but it's
it's not free. Still, you have to repay stuff, from your wages, but it's sort of like a help for you. Otherwise, there's no way to go through this. There's no way, and we're lucky because we are European citizens. Like other citizens from other countries that were not from Europe, they have to pay double the fees. So it's like 18,000.
Do they get any help from?
No, only for European. Yeah. And now I think this change, maybe it will change. I don't know if it's changed already.
It will change with Brexit.
With Brexit, now even EU citizens won't be able, I think, to. I'm not sure exactly, but if they get out of the EU, then.
Yeah. So
if anyone wants to apply for that, or just look it up and see what things have changed or not. Right, so you get out of uni, you are in debt.
Yeah, you're in debt. But I'd say it's not only that you have to pay your own expenses as well. So you need a part-time job.
Right. So no one helps you with your expenses.
There is a maintenance loan that you can get as well. This one is particularly for British, I think, citizens. It was for EU citizens as well if they came before 2016 or something like that.
So
if they have applied, they've changed this. But the thing is, you really need to work because the expenses here are like massive. You have to pay the rent of your own, on your own. For food, for travel expenses or whatsoever. And unless you come from a rich family, But again, it's really expensive, especially in UK. The quality of life here, the expenses they're really high. Compared to Greece, let's say, where the rent is much lower. But okay, the wages now are lower there as well. But back then they weren't. So it's really expensive, and you really need to be cautious about what you're doing and your expenses and everything. And so
so you get out of uni, you are in debt. You don't have to pay that money until you earn a certain amount of money. So, I mean, you are in debt, but you don't have to pay anything unless you start earning. So it's not like a weight, let's say, on you. So it's still a thing to consider. Like, would you say, would you advise people to get the loan or?
Yeah, I'd say get it because, as we said before, if you don't get a job, or even if you get a job and you don't get more than that threshold, I don't remember exactly the number, then you don't have to pay back anything.
And then 30 years go by and
the loan will disappear. And that's what most people do. Like, I don't know anyone that
has paid them a loan back. That has paid anything back. Yeah.
Well, there was one of my friends in uni. He was from Albania, and he was in the EU countries list, so he had to pay double the fees himself, right? Yeah. His family could afford it, right? And that's good for him, right? Yeah. But he wasn't lucky. He couldn't apply for it, and he had to go through that.
Yeah. Okay, so. Right, so you, as I said, you get out of uni, you are in debt, you don't have to pay anything back until you earn a certain amount of money. But are web development jobs, do they pay well, or how much? So for example, for your first job, would you get a decent amount of money, or would you start really low?
Well, for web,
for
web development, I think the wages are really good in UK. They're very competitive because it's a hard job as well. Yeah. You have to go through all this technical, knowledge in the beginning. It might seem easy for someone that has been through that and has been doing it for years, but to really learn all this, it's really painful. Yeah. But it pays off, and that's why, hence the payment. Yeah. And I'd say in the beginning, though, don't focus too much on the money. Focus more on learning things. And really learning, the domain and the industry you're in. But they really pay good, more than the average, job, I'd say. Yeah. So they're really competitive.
Right.
Now, exactly the numbers, I don't know. You can Google it, the average salary for a UK web developer, but it's really good. It's really good.
It's a decent start. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, would you be able to say? What's in your day-to-day job, what do you do? Yeah. What tasks? I have no idea what web development. I mean, I know sort of, but I don't know how. Well, like a day-to-day job, what you would do.
Yeah, definitely. So many people would think that it's programming or behind a computer screen.
Yeah, when I think about it, it's like numbers, like matrix numbers going down. Like
It's definitely not that. I'd say most of the the day at work is communicating with other people, planning, writing on the whiteboard stuff that we're gonna do, discussions and dev discussions, normal discussions about the product and stuff. So yeah, I'd say it depends on your routine. You would go through your emails as opposed in the morning, and then probably you have a task that you've been assigned, and then you have to do that. Maybe you need to ask for some help from some other department or from some colleague. Maybe you have to do some research because you don't know much about the particular technology. So it's not that you know everything and you go and you do it. Definitely it's not that. You always learn new things, you always get stuck, you always ask for help, you always collaborate. So there's a lot of communications, as I said, and discussion going on, and less programming, I'd say, than people think.
Right, so there's a lot of planning and all of that before you start.
It's easy because it's easy to go and write some code, right? If you know it, if you know the programming language, it's easy. You just go and write it. But the hard bit of the job is understanding the domain, the product, all the keywords, the terminology, and then expressing that into code. That's the hardest bit. And then how are you gonna do it, and why are you gonna do it that way? That the planning, that's very hard as well, because you have to do it in a way that makes sense for your organization, and it's efficient, and it saves some sort of time, or it does something better. So yeah, I'd say it's more discussion, planning on the whiteboard, writing stuff on the whiteboard, collaborating with your teammates and stuff. And there are times that you would do, for example, fixing hot fixes, like stuff that is in production, is live, for example, now in a website, then you really need to fix it right now, and then you have to talk with a customer, you have to do some communication there, back and forth emails, so where's the issue, or how can I help, and ask the right questions. So there is this bit as well. But yeah, this is what I've seen so far, in my job and in my placement. Depends. Again, there are other types of jobs, like if you can be in a larger organization, there's a bit more structure, so you don't have to go through a lot of stuff, you just do one thing, particularly. But in smaller businesses, the one I'm working now, you definitely need to go through a lot of stuff. It's not one particular thing that you're doing.
So it's the same thing. For example, when you're designing something, because you said a lot of planning, the hard part is not learning Illustrator or learning InDesign or learning Photoshop, because that's like technical skill you can learn. There's thousands of YouTube tutorials on how to do that. The hard part is you coming up with a design that will flatter the product and will flatter whatever the message is. Because you said earlier about the planning, and because I've been asked this question as well. A lot of people ask, like, oh, so what do you do day to day? You just sit on an office, for example, and mainly yes, but is this also all of that other stuff that the behind the scenes of, like, you have to think of a product. For example, the place I worked before, they did envelopes. They were called envelopes, and they did envelopes, and lots of bubble bags, and loads of stuff. So you have to figure out how to make a design. For example, we were designing social media content, or making videos, or taking pictures for you have to think how to make the product look flattering, because the mistake that I was making as well when I first started designing stuff is I was designing stuff to look pretty, which you can do, but I think once you get a bit more experience, you design stuff to sell the product. You design stuff to make the product flattering, whatever product that is, envelopes or Red Bull or whatever the product is, so that's one of the things that you had to do. I had to do as well. So we've been recording for almost 35 minutes now.
All right.
I have one last question for you. So we all have done a lot of interviews, and do you have like a specific thing that you do on interviews? Like, do you have like a tip for people to do? Like,
well, try to be positive, try to be, cheerful and enthusiastic. Because, they're really looking for that in a job. When you're interested, you ask the questions, you don't just go there and you just, okay, in a mood and, okay, it's just another job. Try to be, enthusiastic and seem passionate. But again, don't try to skip stuff and avoid the truth. Try to be yourself from what you're saying and stay truthful to your words.
You can lie, but
You can lie, but you want to end up well. I mean, for you and for those around you, you might enter a position that it doesn't fit for you. It's the case. One of the interviews that I had to go through when I was looking for a placement, I got rejected from a lot of them, and one of the guys told me, maybe this is not for you. You know what I mean?
sure.
They will just try to understand you as a person. Like, do you fit this company? Maybe the way they work, the structure, the culture doesn't fit your personality. No, not because you don't have the skills, but because of your culture or whatever.
How you operate. And
I'd say be truthful. So the more truthful you are, the more you will go through a path that that's for you.
Your own path,
That will be for you. You will end up somewhere that you belong more, and you'll be happier, I'd say.
The one
tricky question that always gets me is and because I've sat through a few interviews in my last job, I've had to sit through interview people when they were interviewing people for different positions, and the one question that a lot of people mess up is when they ask, "Do you have any questions about us?" And then there was one guy who was like, "No, that's everything." And I think that is the worst thing that you can do, because it shows. And my manager as well said, well, he didn't ask anything. Like, it shows that you're not interested in the job. And always do your research on where you're going.
Yes,
I think because when I heard that, it's like, no, it's fine. I know everything. What do you mean you know everything? There's a lot of things that you can ask about how a company works and what do they do and what do they sell and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Definitely, asking questions, because they ask questions about you. You have the right as well to ask about the company. What do they do? For example, you could ask them, what's a regular typical day to work like for this role, or how do these people work there, or how is the environment there? Can I communicate? You can ask questions. It's nothing bad for it, and obviously make sure you know where you're going, because otherwise you just thrown somewhere. And good luck. I don't know.
Thanks very much. Right. Okay, then. So almost 38 minutes of recording. Are you still recording?
It's still.
Yeah, okay. Right, I think this is everything for today's episode. Did you enjoy this?
Yeah. Thank you for, inviting me, and
you can come
no, I really feel honored, being in this podcast. With you, it's an honor.
Oh, thanks.
One day you might grow and you'll be attached.
And then you can listen to this podcast back and be like, man, I was the first guest.
Definitely the first guest.
Right, then thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Alex, for being here. If you're on Spotify or Anchor or anywhere else, make sure you follow the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot more content coming up. And thanks very much for listening.